Now, as we near the end of today's chapter meeting, I want to take a moment to recognize some very special public safety professionals in our state. Just last week, in both the northeast corner and the northwest corners of our state, we have seen public safety families facing events that none of us would ever want to imagine going through. The telecommunicators serving through both of these tragic incidents continue to show their resolve and their resiliency, and we salute and recognize them for their unwavering commitment to duty and service to their local communities. And for all of our public safety family affected by these events, just know that North Carolina APCO continues to stand by you as everyone begins this slow and arduous process of beginning to heal. And as our meeting is coming to a close, I want to make one more especially important recognition, and that is to the entire North Carolina APCO board. When we all embarked on this journey together in September of 2019, none of us could imagine what was in store for us in the year that was 2020. This past year has been like none other, and we hope it's not like anyone has to face again anytime in the near future. But I just want to personally share with the membership how resilient and patient this group has been through the past year as things have been changing on almost a daily basis. There have been many times when I've had to come to this entire group for guidance and feedback on how we should address one issue or another. And through everything going on in both their local agencies and their personal life, they have all kept their commitment to North Carolina APCO and its members. So please allow me just a moment the privilege to recognize the following individuals from the North Carolina APCO board who have served over the past year: Gerald Lynn Anderson, Byron Burns, Judy Caparelli, Stephanie Connor, Chad Deese, David Dodd, Greg Dotson, Samantha Dutch, Travis Essick, Missy Ezel, Ray Gilliland, Janet King, Lori Laughlin, Andrew McKenzie, Christine Moore, Melanie Neal, Randy Surratt, Sarah Templeton, Tracy Trogdon, Herman Weiss, Brett Wren, and Elton Wright. And also have a special shout out to our very own Frank Thomason as the East Coast representative to the APCO International Board of Directors. Thank you to all of you for all you have done for our chapter, for our membership, and for me personally over the past year. So in addition to recognizing the APCO board, that leads me to my next recognition and thanks, and that is to our over 1,500 members of North Carolina APCO, all who have remained patient and understanding as we've had to make difficult decisions, whether that being to cancel the 2020 Telecommunicator Training Symposium, canceling other in-person training opportunities, or to working with North Carolina NENA to make this North Carolina Public Safety Communications Conference virtual, and then transforming from in-person to fully virtual bi-monthly chapter meetings, which I will say, by the way, I'm happy to share that because of the pandemic, we only missed one chapter meeting, and that was in March of 2020, before we were quickly able to pivot into a virtual environment, and since then have continued hosting bi-monthly chapter meetings since May of 2020. So just as our mission statement reads, we are a member-driven association of communication professionals, and without each one of you, we would not be here today. So I thank you all for your continued support for the goals and missions of both North Carolina APCO and APCO International. And also, as we conclude, one final thank you to the conference committee who has met, if not weekly, pretty much every other week for the last 6 months, continued to working on ensuring that this NC Public Safety Communications Conference turned out to be an success, even in this virtual format. So please join me in also expressing my thanks to the following individuals who worked with the conference committee over the past year. First, to our two conference committee co-chairs, Missy Ezel and Jason Compton, and to North Carolina NENA President Randy Beeman and other committee members, Alan Kress, Chad Deese, Greg Dotson, Monica Howard, Jennifer Taylor, and Vic Williams. And also recognize our NC APCO Treasurer, Lori Laughlin, and North Carolina NENA Treasurer, Jamison Sears, for their hard work. And then lastly, to our education coordinators, Gerald Anderson and Elizabeth Poole. Without the hard work of this group, this event would not have been the great success that it has been. So now as we embark on the coming year, I share some of the same commitments with you that I shared when I was sworn in as the 61st president of North Carolina APCO in September of 2019. When I stood before you then in Winston-Salem, I made the comment that our industry was just on the cusp of the unlimited possibilities provided to us by Next Generation 911. And as I join you today, I am happy to say that Next Generation 911 is now. So let me also take a moment to once again recognize and thank all of my coworkers from the Davie County 911, especially to my director, Rodney Pierce, assistant director, Tammy Myers, and county manager, David Bone, for their continued support to have me where I am today. During my September of 2019 remarks, I also focused on our 4 main goals and objectives. Although most of these were sidetracked by the coronavirus pandemic, I join with you all today to recommit to these 4 goals that will ensure the continued success and improvement of the public safety industry. Goal number 1, continue working on the recognition of telecommunicators as first responders. While we already know this to be true, we've also seen several states enact legislation during this past year to ensure this recognition. But there is still work to be done. When I stood before you in September of 2019, I did speak about the Supporting Accurate Views of Emergency Services Act of 2019, or as many of us know, the 911 Saves Act. And while it did not gain any traction at the time, it is recently being reintroduced by Senators Burr and Klobuchar. So this is time for us to all continue the fight in seeking the recognition that telecommunicators truly deserve. I'm also happy to share there is also new traction and discussion at the North Carolina level about legislation that will ensure public safety telecommunicators are recognized as first responders. And I've been excited to engage in discussions with various legislators and other partner groups who are fully supporting this at our local level. I share all of this with you to simply tell you that the work is not over, and that I'm committed to working with and providing the resources of North Carolina APCO to continue to fight and provide the resources necessary to ensure that this recognition does happen. That does bring me now to goal number 2, focusing on the overall wellness of public safety telecommunicators. When I introduced this goal in September of 2019, I never could have imagined a global pandemic affecting all aspects of our daily lives. But through the pandemic, the importance of both mental and physical well-being of our public safety telecommunicators has been amplified to a greater level. When I was before you then, I shared a quote which still means so much to me, and one that I want to share again with you now. In her book, Kitchen Table Wisdom, author Rachel Rimmen explains, "The expectation that we can be immersed in suffering and loss daily and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to be able to walk through water without getting wet." I share that to say we cannot continue to ignore the mental and physical health and well-being of public safety communications personnel. And as we continue to emerge from this pandemic, I recommit North Carolina APCO to standing as an advocate, continuing to promote and encourage the overall wellness of public safety professionals. Which now leads to goal number 3. And that is working to build a stronger partnership and relationship with North Carolina NENA. When I stood before you in September 2019, I shared how important it was for us to continue working closely with the North Carolina chapter of NENA. And while each chapter has its own slightly different missions and goals, we must both continue to remember that we share a common goal, and that is supporting, promoting, and improving the public safety communications industry as a whole. We must continue our collaborative perspective, and I look forward to working with the incoming North Carolina NENA President, Alan Kress, and recognize that we can only accomplish this by working together. We must all be moving together, working together, and leading together to ensure that we continue to move forward in the right direction. So Alan, Jason, and Randy, our continued partnership and collaboration is vital over the upcoming year. And lastly, goal number 4 was to move the North Carolina Public Safety Communications Conference from the fall to the spring. So this joint venture between North Carolina APCO and North Carolina NENA to conduct an annual conference began in 1996 and traditionally was held the second week of September. And for many years, we held the conference at various locations along the North Carolina coast, and then ran into several years where the event had to be shortened or canceled due to threats from tropical systems. And ultimately, both chapters made the decision to move this conference to May. So I was excited to make this announcement in September of 2019 and share with the membership our plans of conducting this 2021 North Carolina Public Safety Communications Conference at the Wilmington Convention Center. And then, back to our reoccurring theme, the pandemic had other plans for us. So while we're not able to be together in person this year, I do look forward to having you all join us in May of 2022, live and in person, for the North Carolina Public Safety Communications Conference at the Wilmington Convention Center. So now as I conclude, I will share the same remarks and quote that I used in my speech in September 2019. And now as we continue to embark on this journey together, I share the words of former President Obama. "We did not come to fear the future. We came here to shape it." So with that, I challenge both boards of North Carolina APCO and North Carolina NENA that we all continue to shape our future together in supporting and promoting public safety communications all throughout the state of North Carolina. Again, I thank you all for this awesome opportunity to continue serving as North Carolina APCO President, and truly look forward to us all being back together again sometime very soon. So again, thank you for your time, and I will now officially adjourn the May 5th, 2021 North Carolina APCO chapter meeting.